All right, guys, welcome to Onelife Podcast. My guest today is Caroline. She's an online coach, registered dietitian. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're very passionate about health and fitness.
Yes.
You seem to just live and breathe it.
Yes.
How long have you been that way? You seem like you're pretty young still.
Yeah. I feel like I was an athlete my whole life, actually.
So you were?
Yeah. So it's always been part of my being. I was a gymnast from the time I was like 3.
You're okay. Which is how important do you think is being a gymnast as a kid and through high school? I feel like it's probably the most important thing you could possibly do for your health.
It's pretty cool.
Because you get strength, flexibility, the bone density you get from it.
Yes.
It kind of sets you up for the rest of your life, I believe.
Definitely does. And where I am right now and getting ready to like step on a bodybuilding stage where they really care about glute development and lower body, I'm so grateful that I did, because it's so much less work now that I have
so
the
much
muscle.
work in, right?
Yeah.
And is it like 2,000%? What is it like when you land from a flip or something? It's something like if a normal person did that, it would shatter the femur. But when you do it over years and years, your bone density gets so strong that it's nearly unbreakable. Have you ever heard that? It's like that impact that you constantly do strengthens your bone density.
For sure.
And if I was to do it, my legs would break, but you would just land it like it's normal.
Yeah.
So,
I will say it took a toll on my joints though.
It did.
Yeah, and that's eventually why I stepped away from it, is because it was so much on my joints.
Okay, so there's a balance.
Yeah, and I've definitely felt like I was like 90 living in a 16-year-old's body, and it was just not worth it to me.
What type
anymore.
of gymnastics?
I competed, actually. I didn't make it like super far in gymnastics. I think it was like level 5-ish, and then I went into competitive cheerleading.
Okay.
Because the bars and the beam weren't really my love. I loved tumbling, and I loved power, and I loved performing.
Okay.
And I loved being part of a team aspect of that. So I competed in that for, I think, like 7-ish years.
Okay. Does it make you very strong today? Like, do you find you very strong compared to, like, say, most females? Because you've got that background?
I don't know, because in being in the world of bodybuilding and just women that lift weights, there are a lot of women that are much stronger than me. So if we're talking like general population, any woman that lifts
is already like...
Yes.
And it's so easy to get caught up in comparing yourself with people at the gym. Mm-hmm. And, she's leaner, she's bigger, he's leaner. And then you realize that like 5% of the population probably go to the gym, and like 3% probably actually go consistently.
Exactly.
You get so caught up in that. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake. They compare themselves to the best people. And then you go to LAX or you go to the theme park and you realize that 74% of us are fat or obese.
Yes.
But we always like, I remember maybe I was 21, 22, and I was like just young, lifting weights, getting bigger, but comparing myself to people in their 30s and 40s. I was like, I'm so small, I'm so far away. And then I remember going out, I think I was at a nightclub, and I was like the biggest guy there.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's right. Not everybody goes to the gym. And it wasn't an arrogant way. It was just like, I was so busy comparing myself to people who have done it for 10, 20 years that I forgot that nobody else cares about it.
Right.
So it's so easy to get caught up in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, you always compare yourself to people way ahead of you, which is also a good thing.
I definitely think so. And I like looking at it as less of a comparison where you're demeaning yourself and more as like an aspiration.
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
And when you can draw inspiration and aspiration and aspire to be like those people without compromising who you are and without respecting your body and what you look like. Because growing up, the legs that I'm so grateful for right now, I felt like they were too big. And they used to call me thunder thighs at school.
I was going to say, you probably get picked on.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And who's laughing now? Now that slim thick is in.
That's so funny, right?
Exactly.
It's so funny.
Yeah, and it's not until you find that self-assurance in who you are and what you like, and that can translate to your lifestyle or just like your body image. You get to make the choices for yourself.
How do you, it's so hard to get past that, like doing you for you. Like if you're a marathon runner and you're skinny, but you're fit and you're happy, you don't have to be big and muscly.
Yep.
It's what's on the inside. It's what makes you happy. But I think we're so caught up on, oh, you got to go to the gym. You got to have a six pack. You got to have, for girls, you got to have a booty these days.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Yes or no? If you're not, do what you want to do to change
Exactly.
that. Don't try to fit the society's mold, right?
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of caught up in that.
I think it's really interesting how bodies can go in and out of style recently. So now like the whole 90s skinny trend is coming back in, whereas it was like slim thick for almost like 20 years, right? So it's like ever evolving, and if we are always constantly trying to chase this societal standard, we're never actually being true to who we are. And we're putting our bodies through this unnecessary stress, and it's ultimately like not healthy. And this is actually part of my story is I developed an eating disorder in high school because after coming out of sports, being known for my body, like when I would walk around school, people would call me the girl with the ass because I was known for that kind of development. And then when I quit sports, I kept eating like an athlete, so my body started changing. And I was also going through a super stressful time with like uncovering some childhood stuff and applying for colleges. So just everything came to a head, and my body was the only thing I could control. And I became so obsessed with eating the most healthy, because I genuinely love it. Like, that's what I do for a living. I love food, I love nutrition, but it became unhealthy to the point where I didn't know what to eat. And I feel like that's almost prevalent in the space right now, is there's so much conflicting information out there with nutrition that you can...
everything.
Yes, and you are like terrified to eat because nothing is good for you, right?
Yeah, what's that saying? You can find a reason not to have anything if you look long enough.
Exactly.
Like you can, an egg, right? Like the most perfect possible food you could have.
Right.
And you can find a reason not to eat eggs on TikTok or Google in seconds.
Exactly, like oatmeal.
I had someone the other day saying kale's not good for you.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, like, it's always been, I've been doing weights for 25 years, so it's always been confusing, but now everybody with a phone is an expert. Everybody has a voice. Everybody is just flooding. Everyone wants attention. Everyone's flooding. It's so hard. Even this podcast, how do people know what we're talking about is credible or not?
Exactly.
You have no idea. You just kind of got to look at the person and look at what they've done, their background, and then kind of make an education decision.
Yeah.
But it's confusing. It's so confusing.
It is.
And it doesn't need to be.
It really doesn't have to be that deep. Everyone's just really stressing about the minutia, when the reality of the situation is, if you are trying to drink bulletproof coffee to be healthier and you think it's going to help you lose weight, but you're over consuming calories, you're missing the mark, right? But I will say there is like a difference in the quality of calories that you eat. But if you are so focused on this one protein that comes in kale that could potentially inflame your gut, and you're not eating vegetables, you're missing the big picture.
Yeah, there's so much we can touch on, right?
Yeah, everyone is stressed out about the wrong things.
It's kind of like picking what to touch on. As far as, I want to go back to, like, you mentioned your, kind of like your identity, right? You're this girl, you're in good shape, you're known for that.
Yeah.
I've been in that same position where I've been like really good shape, winning competitions, doing modeling, doing like fitness comps, and you get known for that. And that's kind of like your DNA. That's like your blueprint.
Yeah.
And then when you're not the best version of yourself, it plays with you mentally, right?
Absolutely.
It's tricky. Even now today, like I'm 43, and it's when I'm not in the best shape I have been, it plays on me. And like you're so young, and you'll struggle with that already.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of get past that, you think? Because it's not realistic to be at 6% body fat or whatever you're at, or be in perfect condition all the time.
Right.
So how do you kind of get past that mentally?
I think it comes back to, again, a knowing of yourself, and outside of the aesthetics of things and the kind of person you are trying to be and who you want to be, and detaching that from any sort of like physical or tangible thing, right? So as long as you're acting in congruence with the person that you want to be, then you're able to detach that from the aesthetics. So maybe like if your goal is to build a business right now, you don't have as much attention to dedicate to your fitness because that's more of your priority. So if you're still taking care of yourself, you're still eating, you're still moving your body, you're still drinking your water, it might not look the same as before, but you are acting in congruence with who you want to be.
Also, like, to add on top of that is, like, when you have the tools in your tool belt, you're able to switch it on when you want to.
Yep.
And when you don't have those tools, so say, like right now, I'm losing weight, I'm dieting, I'm leaning up. but I have over 200 pounds of muscle on me. I've been doing weights for 25 years. I've leaned up so many times, it's countless. I know what to do. I have the discipline to turn it on.
Right.
Opposed to someone who's 43, never lifted a weight before, never dieted before, hasn't got that mindset, hasn't got that relentless like resilience. It's two different things, right? I lose weight and I lean up so quick because I know how to turn it on and I know exactly what to do. Opposed to someone who's just fluffed through life and now all of a sudden wants sudden change.
Right.
It doesn't work that way, right? You're literally starting at the beginning, and we all know how hard. Like, can you imagine going back to the beginning, like where you started? It's so far away, right?
Yeah, and there's so much that I would have done differently.
And then there's so much confusion on top of that. Everyone's telling you a different thing. Everyone's expects you to look a different way. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, and it's just sad, and that's ultimately why I got into this profession, because with going through an eating disorder, when I went to college, I wasn't fully recovered. And I knew that this was my passion, but I ended up going for business because I didn't trust myself to not relapse.
Interesting.
And then after a year, or like 6-ish months in school, it was one semester, I knew that I had like been making enough progress in like recovery, but something needed to change. So I stopped controlling my own nutrition and training. I hired a coach.
Oh, really?
And she changed my life. And I knew that I needed to do that for other people.
So why did that help so much? Like having a coach with eating disorder?
Well, I didn't actually have an eating disorder at that time. I was technically healed.
But yeah, okay, but keeping you on check, I guess.
Yes, and more so of taking the control out of my hands. Because a lot of times hiring a coach is doing what you know you need to do, but you can't do it yourself. So like, you know you need to go work out, but maybe you're not holding yourself to that kind of accountability, or maybe you're putting too much on your plate. Like in my case, I thought that I could work out more than I actually should have been. Or my calories could have been higher, but I wouldn't let myself bring them that high. So it's giving yourself the permission to do what you know you need to do, but you're not getting out of your own way.
That's interesting, because I just got myself a trainer 5 weeks ago. I've never had a trainer in my life. I've been very successful by myself, but I haven't been able to raise the bar high enough, raise the standard to get myself in the shape I want to stay at, because I'm older, I have a daughter, it's not a priority anymore.
Right.
But now having a coach, my diet has been 100% for the last 5 weeks.
Yep.
So it's getting out of your own way, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, it's been great. And I've been given advice, but I haven't really done it because I know what to do. It's more just having that accountability, to be completely honest. It's just been accountability once a week. Exactly. Just knowing that someone is holding me accountable. Hey, did you eat right this week? Or your weight's going down, your weight's going up, full stop. And that's kind of all I need. Right. But it's at different level, right? As far as someone going through like an eating disorder like you did, what do you kind of tell someone like that? Like who do they seek out? How do they get help? How do they kind of get their life back on balance, I guess?
I worked with a dietitian, and I also worked with, I think she was a mental health nurse or something, but some sort of like a therapist, right? So that you can be taking care of yourself on all fronts in terms of health, because you're probably going through deficiencies and physical illness as well as mental illness. So the combination of the two really does help. Okay. I will say it's a very specific case, so make sure that you find the right people. Because
is that something everybody has access to? Is that expensive? Is that something like someone can get for free? Is that something your parents helped you with?
My parents did, because I was still in high school.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
You're pretty young. So I was very blessed that I was in that situation and I was able to get that kind of help. There are different resources online for mental health. I actually went through BetterHelp for just general therapy one time, and I feel like that was a pretty affordable option. Okay. In terms of mental-ish support.
How far into it before you realized that you needed help? Did it take you a while, or were you kind of like ignoring it, or did you know from day one, like, hey, this is not healthy?
I think it's a spiral. It's a very slow, you're walking down the stairs and then you're like, how did I get here? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And then, like, everyone that I talk, or not everyone, but a lot of people that I talk to have gone through a similar situation. You've had this rock bottom moment. that you just know that this is not how you want to live anymore. And that's ultimately where recovery starts.
Okay.
Because you can have all the support in the world around you, but no one can make you change your mind until you have that conviction to say, like, this is not my life.
Conviction. I like that. That's a good way of putting it.
That word.
Just that, like, you're too big to fit in a plain seat. You know that is your moment where, hey, I need to make change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. Obviously very, very aware of nutrition. You're understanding like 74% of us are overweight, or obese. Top 3 killers are all diet related. Someone dies from a heart attack every 39 seconds in this country. 30% of the population is diabetic or pre-diabetic. 1 out of 3 kids by the age of 20 have diabetes.
I'm so sad.
Where are we going wrong? How do we fix it? Like, can it be fixed? It really scares me because I don't know how it can be turned around.
Yeah.
It's not even progressively, it's accelerating. It's getting so much worse so quickly.
Well, how many classes in school were you taught about how to eat?
Yeah, 0.
There you go.
Just like finance.
Right. So that's a very foundational thing that we need to be taught. And in school, they're still teaching like the food pyramid, which is so outdated, right?
Which is literally like, we all know it's like BS anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we're not providing the population with the right education that's non-biased from like financial reasons, right? Like what fuels
America, right?
Yes.
Especially America.
Yes. Who's teaching the generation and then the next generation? Because it's not necessarily the parents' fault because they don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. It's an unconscious incompetence. You have to become aware to know that you're incompetent in order to make a change. But if you're unconsciously unaware of what's going on, it's not their fault. So that's ultimately why I got into this field, because there's so many people that genuinely just don't know. They have no idea what they don't know. So it's up to us to bring that information to them. To be like, hey, actually don't stress about it. Please go eat the kale. It's really not what you think it is. People are fear-mongering in one direction or the other to sell their guide or their ebook or push whatever diet they're like super gung-ho on, which is great for very specific populations. But if we're talking general population, we just don't know how to eat.
And the way I look at it, there's no benefit on getting people healthy from a government, a business point of view. I don't see any benefit of having healthier people. Because if everyone's having breakfast, everyone's having their Fruit Loops for breakfast, everyone's having their Frappuccino in the morning, everyone's getting sick, everyone's reliant on medication, everyone's going to hospital more. It's money, 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 money.
Exactly.
If everyone's healthy like you and I don't get sick. I've been sick for over 6 years. Where's the money? I didn't get COVID. I don't get this stuff because I take care of myself.
Exactly.
But there's no money. I don't make any money for anybody. I make money for the 1-2 meals I eat a day. That's about it. So I don't see why anybody would want to help besides the coaches here and there.
Right.
And that's the scary bit.
Yeah. But once you feel as good as we've felt, we're like, you would never want to go back there.
No.
And you never want anyone else to feel that way and almost just like accept that as their normal. Because it's just not a way to live. Because you're essentially just kind of like getting by. You know, like you're sick and you feel good for maybe like a month or 2 and then something else comes up.
But your good is still
it's
bottom
here,
feeder.
when you can be here.
Yeah.
But you just don't know how to get here.
I was probably like 10 years ago. I took like 3 days. I just ate a bunch of crap. I didn't get to the gym. I sat around. Just had a nice weekend.
Yes.
Felt awful.
Awful.
Felt so damn bad. I was like, I never did it again.
Yeah.
It made me feel so bad.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, this is somebody's normal. This is how somebody feels all day, every day. And they don't know what that next level is. And I was having this conversation recently was a kid, say your parents are overweight and they're feeding the kid, like say 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, you feed this kid crap. This kid continues to do that for the rest of their life. They never know what it's like to feel good or healthy because they've never actually had the opportunity. Whereas most people, especially when I was growing up, like age of 20, you're healthy, you're skinny. Like there's one overweight kid my whole year. Maybe one overweight girl, one overweight guy in the whole year. And it wasn't actually massive compared to like it is today. Now you got 50% of the kids who are overweight or unhealthy. But at least like, and then most people, and then 3/4 of us would put weight on after school. But at least we felt good for the first 20 years of our life.
Yeah.
A lot of people are never going to have that.
Yeah.
A massive majority of that are never going to have that.
Yeah.
How terrible is that?
They're
never going to know what it's like to feel healthy, or to be able to run, or touch the toes, or just have good sleep, or wake up. Or not be reliant on stimulants, or coffee, or pre-workout, or it blows my mind.
It just becomes a new normal and a new way of life.
The new normal is down so below, right?
Yeah. And this was like my whole awakening that I had earlier this year that was kind of like the cherry on top of everything. Is my boyfriend and I took a week in Tulum, Mexico. And just the way that they eat is so much less processed. It's more fresh foods. And they don't live to work. Work is something that they do to live their lives.
Yeah.
And it just opened my eyes to see how we all have it so ass backwards. We're all, and like, I'm not to say I love what I do. I love my work. So it definitely fulfills me. And it was a wake up call for me to not eat, sleep, and breathe just that. Which is okay. If that is your thing, it should be your thing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But we are all very stressed out and sad in this country. We're all stressed out, which causes more health issues. So a lot of us eat to cope, which causes more health issues.
We lack time because we work so much.
Yep. And so we're just shoving whatever food we can find, which is usually not a good option. Right. So it's just become this like churning system where we're not getting better and no one's waking up to see what's going on. And that was it for me. As I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so sad that all of us are just on this hamster wheel. Yes. And it just doesn't have to be that way. Even if you want to like bar none pursue that career, just eat some vegetables while doing it. Like that is the least that you can do for yourself.
Just do something, right?
Yeah. And like even the whole I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality. No, you actually can't, because if you don't sleep right now, I promise you're going to have some issues.
I shortens Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. It literally shortens your life.
It will literally shorten your life.
You're hustling, and it's cool to hustle, but
yeah, and
I average 8.5 hours of sleep per night. I have an Oura ring. I absolutely love the fact
best.
that
Yes.
Oh, you have one too, yeah.
It's my accountability, because I lived like that for years. Because I started my coaching business in my dorm room when my life changed. I was like, I need to do this for other women. So I started my coaching business in my dorm room. And I just knew that I needed to bring this to other women. But that also meant that I was working front desk at a gym. I was going to school full time. And I was building an online business. So I had zero social life, which was fine. I didn't do the whole like going out partying thing very much at all until like my senior year of college. I was like, oh, I should probably like do the college thing a little bit. Lasted for like 4 months, wasn't my thing. So I found more fulfillment in doing that. But that's a lot on your plate to do all of that at once. And you can just see in pictures the inflammation in my face just growing as I went through college. And it wasn't until I graduated and I had a whole bunch of like gut issues from a tapeworm that I had that I didn't know was in there. So digestive issues along with that, stressed, not sleeping, all of the things just like for 5 years. And to the point where my body literally gave me the middle finger and was like, okay, we're done. So then your body will make you stop.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Your body will tell you it is done if you don't proactively take care of it.
A lot of times it's a heart attack, diabetes,
it's something,
stroke, something, cancer. Something.
I'm lucky that mine was just a tapeworm. And it was just like, hey, you can't poop.
I want to go back to, so there's 80% of us hate what we do for a living.
It's so sad.
It's 80% of us. And then 8 out of 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So if you're a doctor or you work at Starbucks, you're living paycheck to paycheck. And we work so hard to buy stuff we don't need, to impress people we don't like. And we get caught up in like this rat race. And the rat race is the best way to put it. And we can't, we don't breathe. We're not living, we're surviving. And we can't breathe because we've got credit card debt, we've got school debt, we've got medical debt, we've got a car that we've got a $40,000 car that we don't need when a $5,000 car would do the trick.
Right.
And we're so caught up in buying stuff and having the new ring or watch or sunglasses or iPhone or computer, and we're never satisfied. and that kind of goes back to what you're saying, is we're just so caught up in working and grinding, and there's so much expectation and there's so much pressure that you're supposed to do that. And you're not living. You don't have any free time. You don't have any breathing room. What is it? Like, the biggest cause of divorce is financial. All these, like the average car loan is $600 a month over 60 months. All these start, but we don't understand that. We get stuck.
Yeah.
And then our health suffers on top of that. And then we get addicted to coffee to get through the day. And then we start getting sleep apnea. We start snoring. It's just this vicious cycle. And going back to what you're saying is we don't live, we don't work, what do you say? We don't live to work. Like, you should do what you love to do, make the money that you want to make to get by, and be happy. And is that taking to your kids on soccer on the weekend that makes you happy? Is that the ability to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and having time to do that? Finding out what's happy for you, and not trying to compare yourself to the Joneses, not trying to make $1 million.
Yeah.
Do you know what the top 1% owners in America make? Like, to be in the top 1% in the whole country, you know how much money you got to make? It's only $400,000.
Wow.
But you think, oh, it's $10 million. It's a millionaire. Social media makes you think like everybody's kicking ass.
Yeah.
80% of the population is paycheck to paycheck. Something like 50 or 60% of the population can't come up with $300 today for an expense. So it's so crazy, but we just get caught.
Yeah.
And then our health suffers. And then,
yeah,
I'm very passionate about this stuff. Like, that's a big thing I want to get across on the podcast. Is like, I'm a big believer, find what you love to do, figure out a way to get paid for it.
Exactly.
And even me, like, I don't work that much. Like, I make good money per hour. I'm able to not have to work a lot. But even my mind, some reason I'm like, oh, I should be working more. I should be grinding more. I should be making more money. But it's like, do I need to?
Yeah.
No. But in the back of my mind, it's pre-programmed for my whole life that that's what you're supposed to do. Everyone around you is doing the same thing, so you think that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, I saw my dad work 2-3 jobs his whole life, and we just got by, but never get taught like financial education, never get taught to read books, never get taught to get on YouTube, listen to podcasts, self-educate yourself.
Yeah.
Just fit in and just work hard and back to the hamster wheel.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on all that? I just dumped a lot on you.
Yeah. I definitely agree with, if you are able to get paid for doing what you love, that's absolutely what you should do. Because then you never, like, really
work a day in your life, right?
I mean, like, you're working and there are days that you're like, what am I doing? But
it's not every day.
no, it's not.
You're not like looking at a clock all day.
And there's just fulfillment. There needs to be fulfillment in your life. I also don't think it's a bad thing to want to have like financial goals for yourself or to set a certain standard of living that you want to aspire to. But it's ultimately just like creating the life that you want to have. And
your personal life, right?
Yes. So if that is kids, awesome. But ask yourself, am I just falling into the go to school, get married, get a house, have kids, or is that actually what you want? So make sure that you ask yourself those questions. Not to say that like not having a family is not it. I think it would be amazing to be blessed with a family one day. But make sure that that's actually what you want. Because if you just kind of like fall into line, you're going to end up in this life that you're ultimately not super happy with. And once you get too far, again, it's kind of like not having healthy habits. It's so hard to undo all of that.
You get stuck.
Yeah.
Especially when you got debt or you're overweight, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. Once you have the house and you have the car and you have all of these assets, like, do you just go and sell them and bite the loss and figure it out and undo it later? And this is something that my boyfriend and I actually also kind of came to the realization after my whole Tulum experiences. I was like, I really don't want to live in a house. So we rent a house right now, which was great. We moved from San Diego, California, and we were like, we can get all of this space.
Yeah.
We're saving so much money, and it's just...
Because you paid a fortune out there, yeah.
Out there, yeah. So when we came here, we were like, this is the best.
Yeah, you get a mansion.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is just not the life that I want to live right now. We tried to grow up a little too fast. And we're like, we just don't want to be settled. We don't want to have to take care of all of this right now. We're both living a life where we're both entrepreneurs. And it's just not conducive to like who we want to be and what we want to do at this second.
Yeah.
So luckily we caught it soon enough. And we were able to like move into an apartment, have less on our plates to handle. And ultimately we were happier. But we both kind of found that we had just fallen into the line of, okay, you find your person, you get a house, you settle down, you do X, Y, and Z. But like, there has to be a pattern interrupt somewhere.
It's understanding it, right?
Yeah.
It's also hard. Like, I don't live in the best area of Vegas, but like I said, I've had nearly 100 successful people come over my place, and they haven't not come here because of where I live.
Right.
I'm in a small unit, but I have a podcast. I have a photo studio in the next room. I have so many little businesses. Like, we have paint, like, doing prints behind us.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need all this crazy space. Like, you can hustle with what you've got.
Right.
And the hustle is so much more important than the image or the success image. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
And that's where we get caught up. It's like, what is it they say? Like, broke people dress like the successful, and successful people just dress like the broke.
Right.
Because they got nothing to prove.
Yeah, and they just don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care. They know what's important.
Right, and that's also from the whole self-actualization part of it, and coming home to who you are.
Yeah.
And not finding your identity in how you look or what car you drive or where you live, but just being happy with the kind of standard of life that you want to live and meeting that. Because if you're only
being
meeting
content
your
with
own,
who you are. Yeah.
Right, you're only meeting your own expectations, not anybody else's standards. And we're just in a world of social media, false views and expectations. And
that 1%, right? You see the best of everybody.
Yeah. I will say that social media is how I'm here.
Me too. 99% of my work comes from social media.
Yes, exactly.
But it's using it the right way.
Yeah, and I used it to find community in healing my relationship with food and finding women that were also done with all of that and they wanted to strength train, and that's how I found my community, which ultimately led me to find my first fitness coach, who's now my best friend, and I work together with her.
Who's your coach?
Her name was Kendall Strample, or her name is Kendall Strample, but she doesn't really fitness coach anymore. I help her help other women do what we do, which is have an online business and coach other women.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so she owns the Wealthy Women's Business Academy, which just empowers women to be badass CEOs, online fitness coaches. Super cool. And I love supporting that side of things while also fitness coaching myself, since I love health, food, nutrition, all the things.
So you don't train anyone face to face or one on one, correct? So just online. Talk to me about how that works, how you structured it, how it kind of works.
Yeah. So we communicate with everyone on WhatsApp, and they'll come in.
Oh, WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah, and just tell us what they're struggling with. We'll set up a training split for them on our app, and it gives them their sets.
What's the app?
It's called Trainerize, but it can be like branded to your company. But it's really cool because there's a bunch of different integrations that we can use where you have like video demonstrations of the exercise.
Oh, cool.
So you can see what we're talking about.
So do a deadlift and this is how it's done.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can upload your own videos as your coach so that you can personally explain it.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then you can set reps, sets, it tracks all your progression so you can see your PRs and stuff over time.
Is this just a female thing? Or is this like...
It's anybody thing.
That actually might be something I'd be interested in.
It's pretty dope.
Because I'm starting to get coaching myself, so I've been looking for something like that. So
it's a really great app.
Okay.
And then from there, it connects to MyFitnessPal. So you track your macros in MyFitnessPal.
Oh, cool.
And we also support you in that, in setting your macros, adjusting them, giving you support to actually reach your goals.
Okay.
And then once a week, we have a really extensive check-in form where we'll go over your training, your nutrition, sleep, stress, digestion, lifestyle stuff.
When you say go over, they fill something out, they send it to you, and then you just review it?
We review it, and then we'll send you video feedback.
Oh, really? So you actually talk to the camera?
Yep.
Okay. So you're quite, I want to come back to that. You're quite active on social media. You're quite present on video. How did you get to that point? Because most people struggle.
You just do it. I
totally agree.
Yeah, I'm getting the memories of myself in my dorm room of me like first starting talking on my story, and I was just so prim and proper and had like not necessarily monotone, but just like this persona.
No, it's like monotone because I've been there.
Yeah, just like this persona
hey
about
guys,
me.
welcome.
I was like, hey guys, welcome back to my story, and this is what I have to share today. And it was just not.
wasn't you?
It wasn't
real.
personable.
Yeah.
It didn't show as much of my personality.
Yeah.
And I was a child at that point, so the fact that I was showing up on my story every day, because that's just what I felt like I needed to be doing was so cool. I'm so proud of that version of me for doing that, because I wouldn't be here without that.
Yeah, that's how you get better, right?
Yeah.
What is it, Mr. Beast goes, you got to make 100 videos before you expect to get anything good.
Yes.
It's 100 crappy videos before you even get anywhere near decent.
Right.
And just accept that.
Yeah. I feel like we're like kind of getting there, and I know that in a year or so I'm gonna look back and cringe at my content today. So like, you just ever evolve and you just continue getting better.
Yeah.
And knowing yourself and how you want to present yourself. So just
totally agree.
Accepting of every version of yourself when it's documented online is a journey.
And I like what you said, like, you look at what we do today and you'll cringe in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You'll cringe in 6 months.
Yes.
I always do that. I'm like, but you just got to do it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to go rewatch your stuff. Just know it's been done and you've grown from it and you've learned from it and you've got better.
Right.
So you do the check-in, you do the video. Mm-hmm. How does it... So I was talking to a coach yesterday, and we're talking about sometimes if he's too harsh on someone, they can kind of get discouraged. Mm-hmm. So how do you, if you're training me and I haven't quite done what I need to do, how do you address it? Do you address it differently with every person because everybody reacts differently on feedback, or how do you do the feedback? Like, oh, you're supposed to do this and you didn't, or like, how do you go about that?
I always try and come from a place of curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yes.
Okay.
So, hey, I see that this was our goal this week and this is what happened. What came up? We always ask that on our check-in. So they could be like, I didn't hit my macros this week because I was super busy with school. I had an exam, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. I see that this came up. What are some things that we can do next time to ensure that we're setting ourselves up for success?
If this starts happening again.
Yes. So always frame it as a learning opportunity and just seek to understand how that person operates and thinks and their tendencies. Because like when a person gets anxious, right? There's an overeater and there's a not eat at all. Like those are the two kinds of people, right? So if you're an overeater, okay, cool. This happened. Fine. What can we learn from this? And what can we do to apply it next time? You're an undereater. Okay, cool. How can we work with it? What did we learn? What are some things that we can do? Do we need to set alarms to eat? Do we need to make super calorie dense meals so that you don't have to eat often and you're not eating a lot of food? If you're an overeater, how can we make those meals more satiating? Can we work more snacks into your day so that you're eating while you're working? So you're satisfying them?
Okay. So you keep tailoring it to the individual.
And that's...
depending on their issues and what's going right and wrong.
Health and fitness is not one size fits all.
I love that. I think that's like so important. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
Some people do keto. I fast. Mm-hmm. Some people do macros. Some people do 6 meals a day. I used to do 8 to 12 meals a day. Mm-hmm. It's what works for you.
Right.
And it changes as you get older and different responsibilities and children and family, and you just got to find what works for you.
Exactly.
So I like that you're teaching that, and I like that you're adapting to that. What is the main, I guess, what is the key things as far as like transforming your life, like losing weight, getting healthier? Do you preach going to the gym? Do you preach any type of, or do you just preach being active and just movement? Do you preach a certain type of eating? And when I say preach, like, what do you encourage?
I'm going to talk about what I believe in terms of like everybody, and then what my niche is.
Okay.
So what I believe for everybody is you need to do something that you love and that you can sustain.
100%.
So if what I preach is weight training, if you don't like weight training, I don't want you to not exercise. So you need to, if you like running, hell yeah.
I love hearing that.
If you want to box, if you want to play sports, I don't care. If you don't want to weight train, even though it's like the most optimal for your physique and health and bone mineral density and all of that stuff, I don't care. As long as you're moving and you're taking care of your body.
I love that. I feel like so much pressure you actually have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
If you like playing tennis, go play tennis.
Right.
But do something.
And if that's all that you have to do, or if that's all that you have time to do, especially for like a mom of 3, you might not have time to go to the gym. You might have time for a 30-minute yoga at home video. Cool. Just take care of yourself. Like, make sure that you're filling up your cup so that you can be there for your people, because I find that that's a big thing that gets in the way.
And some people hate the gym.
Fine.
I hate running. I do not run.
Yeah.
If I go to the gym, I'll do Muay Thai. I'll do what I love.
Exactly.
But I won't run.
Right.
And self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to pretend I'm going to go run. Mm-hmm. So I love that you say that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the same with food too?
Yes. It needs to be something that you enjoy, that you can sustain, and you can genuinely see yourself eating like that for the rest of your life. So that's why with my coaching, we track macronutrients, because it's a stepping stone for you to not have to follow another diet for the rest of your life. Because you're actually learning what's in your food, what your body needs, how to adjust your food based on your goal. And it's not sexy. It's not the quick 6-week transformation thing. It'll deliver results, but there's a huge learning curve. But if you can get consistent for like a year or 2, you'll never have to track a macro again in your life. You won't have to plug things into MyFitnessPal because you have that knowledge. And once you have the knowledge, nobody can take it away from you.
Going back to what we said earlier, right? It's exactly, you and I want to turn it on. We have the knowledge.
Exactly.
You've put the reps in. You've done the time. You've read the books. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so being active, doing what you love, finding food that works for you.
Right.
Whether it's fasting, keto, Mediterranean, whatever it is. And then fitting into your macros.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that. Where are we going wrong? Where are most people going wrong? Why are most of us unhealthy, you think? Do you think it's a combination of bad food, lack of exercise? Do you think it's technology? Do you think it's the fact we just sit in boxes all day and we don't really do anything?
It's all of it.
Is it all of it?
Right, and it's, at some point, we're all going to have some of it, right? So we need to pick our big rocks. So I sit behind my laptop because an online coach, I work from my laptop.
Yeah.
But I make sure that I hit a step goal. So I'm moving throughout the day. I make sure that I get in some sort of exercise like 5 times a week. So just picking the things that you feel like are most applicable to what you have going on. So again, a busy entrepreneur who's sitting behind their desk all the time, making sure that you get some sort of movement in. You're actually remembering to eat is huge. You're drinking water. Because a lot of times we won't drink water so we don't have to get up and pee because we don't want to get up from work. Right. So it's taking care of those big things when...
That's a huge issue in itself.
Right. And
I can't tell you how many times I got to go pee somewhere stupid because I'm trying to stay hydrated.
Exactly.
I'm doing some photography gig. I'm in the middle and I'm like, jeez. So many times.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Continue on that for me. So,
yeah.
And you could also argue too, you're a CEO, you're actually making money. You can invest money in yourself.
Yeah.
That's where you can actually afford a trainer or afford a nutritionist or buy your foodie prep meals.
Right. And just setting those things up for yourself to do that. So maybe you are like a super busy mom and you can only eat what your kids eat. Okay, cool. How can we not only fuel ourselves well, but fuel our kids well? Can I go out and play with them? So I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone, getting in my movement while I'm playing with my kids.
And spending quality time with your kids.
Exactly.
I saw something recently. It's like the average adult's only spending half an hour a day with their kids, like of actually quality time.
Interesting.
How sad is that, right? Where you actually dedicated your time. You're not on a TV, you're not on an iPad, you're actually engaging with your kids. Yeah. That's crazy. That's so sad.
I will say that kids have iPads now, though. And I wasn't allowed to have any sort of phone or anything until I was like 12 or 13. And I babysat kids in high school, and they were like 3 and 5, and they each had an iPad. And it blew my mind that...
They're just on it the whole
time,
time,
and they knew how to use the whole thing.
Yeah.
So society is evolving at such a crazy rate, especially now with like AI and stuff.
It's so funny. I was just going to ask you about that soon.
It's going to be so interesting to see what's around in like 10 years.
Yeah, I would even argue too.
Yes.
It's crazy. AI, you know much about AI as far as fitness, ChatGPT, things like that?
Yes. There are caveats, but if you know how to prompt it well, you can get what you need from it. So
I've been using it a lot because what I like about it is my cap is 2,500 calories a day. Puts me in a 500-600 calorie deficit while I'm losing weight, which is spot on for what I need. I might have 500 calories left. And I was like, make me a protein shake with these ingredients at 500 calories. 1 second later, I know the exact measurement on how to fit my macros. Right. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's awesome. And if anyone hasn't touched it, like you can go to ChatGPT and create me a 2,500 calorie meal plan, vegetarian, 40% protein, 30% carbs, 20% fat. done.
Exactly.
Tweak it to intermittent fasting 16-8, done. Make it carnivore, done. It's amazing.
Yep.
It's so crazy. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that's just one little side of it, but how are you utilizing it? Where do you see it going with the fitness industry and helping other people? Like, are you using it for yourself with clients? Are you using it to like kind of get like speed the process up, I guess?
Sometimes, especially as a dietitian, those are technically like the only people that can write meal plans for like medical nutrition therapy and stuff. So sometimes it's good to get ideas from it in terms of like a training split or setting up macros, but anybody has that information at their fingertips. And people still won't do it. So that's why people will ask me like, oh, are you worried about your job? No, because people still want humans. They still want human connection and the accountability.
The big A being the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's like, it's one thing to, knowing and doing is two different things, right? And I'm a huge believer. Everyone knows how to lose weight. Everyone knows what's good for them.
Right.
Everybody knows that they should save money. Everybody knows they shouldn't go into debt. But how many people actually do it?
Exactly.
And that comes down to that mindset, being relentless, having like discipline, habits. And we all lack that. And that's why we're all soft and fluffy and overweight and broke. And to me, habits and discipline is key to life.
Yeah.
Everything revolves around those two things.
Yeah.
Because discipline keeps you in check when you don't want to do it, right?
Right.
When you want to go buy that new computer, you're like, my discipline is going to stop me from doing that. Or you got to have that like in and out. You're like, the discipline is going to stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So there's so many things I want to touch on. Is there anything you want to kind of touch on? I can ask you questions all day. Is there anything that you kind of want to talk about specifically? I know you're very passionate about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything like really stands out to you? Or is there anything different with a female and a male that you find you really like touch on? Are all your clients females or you got males too? Okay. So what do you find different with females opposed to males?
There's so many more hormones going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it the emotional side more than anything?
Or
what do you mean by like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Hormones meaning like our bodies are more sensitive to things in our environment, and even things like fat loss. We can bring our hormones down to a place where it's not really great for our bodies and we're not functioning as well. Whereas males, like, yes, you have more than one sex hormone, but we're really looking at testosterone and estrogen. In a female, it's progesterone, there's LH, there's FSH, there's multiple things that can happen with your thyroid in terms of that. All of that is related to your gut, and there's a lot of that going on with women who have been dieting and keep dieting and are trying to hold their bodies to these standards. We're over exercising, we're under eating, and then all of a sudden our hormones go to shit or our guts go to shit, and then our thyroid doesn't work, and it's all this just like triad of things going on. And females, we're just more susceptible to it because we have so much more going on.
Gotcha.
And it does kind of relate back to just like a lack of education. So a lot of us are put on birth control at a really young age and we have no idea what it does to our bodies.
Yeah, it kind of screws it up from day one, doesn't it?
Yeah, we just have no idea. And
again, you stay on it, right? Because, I mean, you continue to have sex, and so therefore you stay on that.
Right. And there's just not awareness of what the alternatives are and what we can do to like lower the risk, to empower you with knowledge. Again, not like the super sexy method, but like you can track your cycle and track your temperature. And there's ways that you can more so like prevent it from that sense, as long as you're diligent and you actually do it.
Okay. Interesting. Do you, as far as measuring results and people checking it, what do you think is the most important way of having accurate results, especially as a female? Like, are they doing photos? Are they doing weight? Are they doing measurements? Are they having in-body tests? Like, what do you recommend, and what do you do with your coaching?
We do weights, like weighing in.
Yep.
And I really like when somebody weighs in daily, because it actually takes the stress out of scale fluctuations. So say you weigh yourself every Friday, and then your second Friday you're up like 3 pounds. but you went and had sushi the night before. And you don't know that having more sodium can cause more water retention, so the scale goes up. Now you think you gained 3 pounds that week. So if you weigh yourself daily, you're able to see, hey, I didn't sleep as well that night, so the scale's up a little bit. Hey, I got really great sleep last night, so scale's down a little bit.
That's interesting. I never heard anyone say daily.
And it can actually help to not have that kind of anxiety with the scale because, again, you're empowering yourself with that knowledge and the education. It's just we have to learn how to do things for ourselves and have to learn how to know things and understand things. It's the here, do it for me, and I want it. It's the Amazon Prime mentality that everybody has right now of, I'm just going to do the 6-week challenge. Cool. But you're doing 2-a-day workouts. You're eating 1,000 calories. How do you sustain that? It's not actually going to help you in the long run.
What comes to my mind is like you're teaching someone how to fish.
Yep.
So they can feed themselves.
Yeah.
So they're not relying on you.
Exactly. I just created this little 5-minute hack on an app called Uptime. And it's really cool because it condenses books and podcasts and even like authors' thoughts into this 5-minute hack. And it touches on 3 main points, action steps from it. And that was my quote because I did 5 minutes to track your macros, like to understand how to do it. And it was, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. Yeah. And that's what I do.
Yeah, you're teaching people to understand what they're doing so they don't need you. But they're still going to keep you.
Right.
But you'd be happy they didn't need you too. Because
Absolutely.
then you find someone new that actually does need you.
Right.
Self-education. I'm guessing you read.
Oh, I love reading.
Cool. You mentioned Seek to Understand. Was that from 7 Habits, Highly Effective People?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering. That's one of the main points in that book. I was just wondering.
It's a good book.
I
like that. I like The Slight Edge is awesome. That one's all about habits.
I'll have to check it out.
I really recommend that one.
Okay. What else is kind of some books that stood out to you that's had some change?
I am big on self-mastery and mental health because I believe that a lot of physical health problems also stem from mental
and
emotional things. Exactly.
It's literally back and forwards.
And we're trying to put a Band-Aid on the physical symptoms when the mental, emotional side needs to be addressed.
That's interesting.
So I really love the books The Mountain Is You and You Are Not Broken.
I've not read any of those books.
They are phenomenal.
I got some new books to read. I love that.
Yes.
That's the cool thing about this podcast. People always like drop these little nugget books and I like go home and put it on my Audible and it's been amazing. The Aura Ring. Helen, you had it? What do you think?
I've had it for about a year at this point.
Yeah, me too, probably.
Yeah, I'm such a data nerd. I love metrics to track. I love how I can see my readiness score, my sleep, and my steps. And I got this over getting an Apple Watch because I didn't want the notifications buzzing and stressing me out all the time.
I mean, I keep mine off, but
yeah,
I like this because it's on 27 days, 6 days a week. Like, I charge just for an hour.
Yeah.
And it's on when I go to sleep. It's on 24/7.
Exactly.
Whereas this comes on and off.
Yeah. And for me, it's the screen awareness. Just like knowing the screen is there, I know I'm going to be checking it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it's out of sight, out of mind for me.
So this is better.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I love this because when I do Muay Thai, I wear it under my gloves.
Interesting.
When I'm sleeping, I wear it. When I'm doing ice baths, it's always on.
Yeah.
So it's tracking. So I know my calories that I burn every day. I know how long I sleep. I know my average heart rate. I know my average amount of sleep I sleep a night. I know I burn 3,150 calories a day on average, all because of this.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, what are you using it for exactly? Same type of thing?
Yeah, I do it for sleep, heart rate, just being an athlete, making sure like my cardiovascular system's in shape because I'm bulking right now. And it's really important to make sure that you don't just sit around and eat a lot of food while you're lifting.
Yeah.
Even though the goal is to minimize your expenditure, you want to make sure you're still healthy and you're
like
resting.
Heart health, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And your heart rate isn't super high. And then tracking sleep is so fun for me. I love seeing the different waves.
What's your sleep like?
They call me a dolphin, a bottlenose dolphin. That's like my sleep type. So I love...
What does that mean?
It's like your average amount of sleep. So I'm not one that can feel super rested on a short amount of sleep, but I'm also not one that needs like 10 hours of sleep. So anywhere from like your sweet spot, like 8.5, 7-ish hours, somewhere in between there.
Okay.
And I go to bed around, I'd say like 9 to 10 is usually my window. And I wake up at like anywhere from 6 to 7.
Do you ever check your body temperature with this?
Mm-hmm. That's how I know, like when I'm sick or when I'm recovering. And also, this syncs to natural cycles. So like what we were talking about with tracking your fertility, it does it for me, which is beautiful.
Which is awesome, right? And it's pretty accurate?
Yeah, for the most part, because your temperature doesn't actually fluctuate that much when you're supposed to be paying attention to the fluctuations. I think it's only like half a degree. So it can be hard to note and to tell, whereas this is like doing it for me.
That's interesting. So I went to Oregon on vacation last year, and the day I got there, my temperature went up 0.3. I was like, oh, that's unusual. The next day, 0.7. Next day, I was in hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So it knew that I was sick before I knew I was sick.
Yep.
And I had an infection, and I ended up in hospital. I ended up bedridden for like 5 days.
Oh, wow.
I actually was very sick, but it knew before I knew.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this thing's going to like change lives.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I never, like, as far as colds, things like, if something like dramatic, that was completely different. But I was like, wow. And what I love about it, it tracks everything all day, every day for the last 12 months of us.
Yeah.
5 years time, we have data for the last 5 years. Exactly. You know when something's off.
Yep.
Or you can go to your doctor, hey, this is, and then there's a spike here, or there's a drop here, or something's obscure. You're going to know that something's wrong because you have hard data.
Yep.
And it's only going to get better. And the technology is only going to get better.
Right.
And then AI coming into it. It's just, it's crazy.
That'll be cool.
If we could just get healthy and use AI, we'd probably live forever, right?
And if humans do the right thing, if we are good people at our core, and that's our driving force, we can use the power that we have to get there.
Exactly right.
And like at the end of the day, it's up to us to choose what we use these for. It's like the atomic bomb, right? We can harness an insane amount of energy in splitting an atom. We could have changed the world for the better, and we blew people up.
Yeah.
It is a human flaw and a human experiment. So depending on the human, it has the power to change the world. But are we going to blow people up, or are we going to use it for good to actually change the world?
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Before we finish up, like longevity stuff, do you do saunas, cold therapy, fasting, any hormesis type of things?
I love my cold showers in the morning.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, very nice.
Every morning.
For how long?
It's only about like 2 minutes, just enough.
Oh, no, how long have you been doing it for?
Probably like 8 months, off and on.
Have you been sick since you started doing cold showers?
Much less.
Okay. It really boosts your immune system.
Yeah. For me, it's the endorphin rush in the mornings. I almost crave it now. It's weird. It's really weird.
You get addicted to the cold.
Yes.
I've had this conversation. I am addicted to the cold. I am 100% addicted to the cold.
And I don't like cold weather. Don't get me wrong.
You become more resilient in cold weather, where you can wear what you're wearing now in cold weather and be fine because you had a cold shower this morning.
One day we'll get there. I'm still very much a Nevada princess. I love it being hot outside. But there's something about waking up in the morning and I just know that that's going to get me into like my peak state. Like my mornings are my time. I love waking up and just getting into my day and knowing that I'm going to crush the day, and it just sets the tone, you know?
Have you done ice baths?
Yes.
How many have you done?
A couple. I don't have access to one all the time, so that's why I do a cold shower. And a shower is so much worse than the plunge.
So I'm going to be honest, I've done cold showers for 6 years. Been doing daily plunges for 3 to 4 months. Plunges are so much better.
Yes.
As far as like the mood enhancement, the clarity, the energy, the recovery, the just a whole different level.
Yep.
And don't get I love my cold shower. I've literally done it in 6 years. I love my cold showers, but the plunges are just that next level.
And it's so nice because you don't have to turn every 30 seconds.
Well, that's the thing. The stupid shower hits you in a different spot every day. So you're like...
Exactly.
So like this morning I did a cold shower because I didn't want to sit here freezing talking.
Right.
Because it's recovery. You do saunas, you doing fasting, anything else like for longevity?
I don't really fast. I do sometimes when I'm dieting, just to help with
just like
hunger.
A little extra kick and
but I really love my breakfast, you know? I don't really And
there's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people are doing it backwards. So you're actually technically supposed to fast later in the day, because with our circadian rhythm, we're up and we're moving for most people more active early in the day. So we need more food earlier in the day. So for a lot of us, it could be more beneficial to shift our eating window from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Instead of from like 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. to whenever, like 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., whatever you choose to do. But that's just a tangent. But I don't fast normally. I do saunas occasionally. The complex that we're moving into does have a sauna, though.
Oh, very nice.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I'll try to do a sauna once a week. I do cold therapy. I do it every day in some shape or form. It's like I'm addicted to it. I couldn't imagine not doing it.
Agreed.
And I love it for the recovery. Like, so I finish Muay Thai, I jump straight in the ice bath as soon as I get home. 3 minutes later, I feel brand new again. Yeah. It's like this like hack.
Well, for certain adaptations.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it after weights or anything, but as far as
because it'll slow your muscle growing.
As far as running or having your butt kicked with cardio, it's great.
Right.
Anything else you want to touch on before we finish up? We've covered a lot.
I feel like we've hit everything.
Anything we've missed specifically about you? Anything you want to tell females? As far as eating disorder, as far as turning your life around, getting on check, self-education?
Yeah, just do what is best for you. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Don't let anybody tell you what you should look like, what you should eat like, how you should live your life. Be happy and make the best decision for you. And if you want to find more, my Instagram name is Caroline Biddle Fit, and I post a lot on there just about every day. And shoot me a DM. I would absolutely love to support you in any way that I can.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a pleasure.